Making Qlik Sense data connections to a remote PostgreSQL server is something that you might need to build a monitoring app. It's useful when upgrading standalone installation of PostgreSQL, and it's also just convenient. With this setup, you'll be able to access all your PostgreSQL servers from a single machine, no matter where they're installed. Let's get started and see how that's done. The key thing to understand is that there are two layers of security that we'll need to open up and configure in order for you and me to be able to create a data connection to a remote PostgreSQL server. First layer is the Windows Firewall. Now, this assumes that you have your PostgreSQL server running on a Windows server. As an example, if you want to connect to your dev server from your prod server, unless you configure the firewall on your dev server, the dev server will not let your prod server connect to it. That's just how it is, and it's a very good thing. Second layer is PostgreSQL security, and more specifically the host-based authentication rules. We'll see what those rules are later, but do know that even if Windows Firewall is configured to allow connections from other servers, PostgreSQL has its own layer of security that will still block connections unless we tell it to permit connections from other servers. Today, we'll work on understanding and configuring a firewall rule, and tomorrow we'll work on configuring PostgreSQL security. Let's get started and create that firewall rule. For this demo, I will be using my dev server. It's a server to which I want to connect. That's the remote server. If you're following along, you'll need to log into whichever server that you're trying to connect to. So if you're working on your PROD Qlik Sense server and you're trying to connect to a PostgreSQL server on your test or QA server, go to that test or QA server and create a firewall rule on that server. We'll need that remote server to allow connections since we're trying to connect to it. Again, in my case, the remote server is my dev server, so I'm creating a firewall rule on my dev server. Now, to create a firewall rule, let's go to the Start menu and search for firewall. Then click on this Windows Defender firewall with advanced security app to launch it, and click on the inbound rules. Next, let's go to the action menu and click this new rule option. Now, a quick note, what I'll be showing you here is a fairly basic firewall rule. If you're doing this on your company server, I recommend checking in with your network security team to have them create this rule for you. They likely will have a more strict requirements for opening up connections to your servers. With that said, let's select the custom option and click the next button. Leave all programs option selected and click next. For the protocol type, select TCP, and for local ports, select the specific ports option, and then enter the port number on which your PostgreSQL server is listening on. If you don't know which port your PostgreSQL server is using, I've created a video showing how you can find it. In my case, I have my PostgreSQL server listening on port 4432. And once you've entered your port number, go ahead and click Next. On the scope screen on the bottom here, let's select these IP addresses option and click the Add button. And for context, this is where we specify which server we want to allow connecting to this server. In my case, I'm creating this firewall rule to allow connections from my prod server, so I'll need to enter my prod server's IP address here. And by the way, if you need to find the IP address of a server, you can launch PowerShell and use this Resolve howdash-DNS-Name command. Then type dash name parameter and the name of the server whose IP address you'd like to find. In my case, I need my PROD server's IP address, so I'll type in the name of my PROD server and hit enter. Here's the IP address of my PROD server. For you, go ahead and highlight and right-click yours to copy it, and then go back to the firewall rule and paste it here, and then click OK. Now, if there are other servers that you would like to add to allow to connect to this server, go ahead and click the Add button again and enter the IP addresses of those other servers. In my case, I only want this rule to allow connections from my PROD server, so I'll click the Next button. Leave the Allow the Connection option selected and click Next. Here, I prefer to uncheck all options except for the domain. My PROD server is part of the same domain as my dev server, so this works well. There's no need to allow connections from outside the company's domain. In your case, your Qlik Sense and PostgreSQL servers will also likely be part of the same domain, so allowing connections only from the servers that are part of the domain should work fine. Okay, with that said, let's go ahead and click the Next button. And lastly, let's enter the name and the description for this rule. I'll call mine allow connections to PostgreSQL server, and for description, I'll add this one. Once we have the name and the description entered, go ahead and click the Finish button. Okay, so with this rule configured, Firewall will allow the server you specified, the PROD server in my case, to connect to this server on specified port, the port that your PostgreSQL server listens on. In my case, that's port 4432. With this rule in place, the server where your PostgreSQL is installed will now allow remote connections. Now, we're not done yet. We still need to create a PostgreSQL security role, but we'll do that in the next video.